Hassel here, co-host of the Nerdy Man Room Show. And we proudly present to you Man Room Shorts. Your discretion is advised. You don't really stay, you find your, or I don't, I'm not sure about you, Monster, but I don't find myself being like loyal to any one.
No, I
Like
don't.
I'll jump around from an MP Takara to X-Trans Boss to Toy World to, you know, Planet X. I'll kind of jump around to all of them.
And you know what? I do that, but I find that I like that, especially when I get into a groove like with the mini bots. Most of those have been done by so many of them, and
Yeah.
I could buy, you know, one that's been made, by a couple different companies and looks so close. But by the time I buy one or two from this company, let me buy one from a different one. So when I put it on there, there's a little bit of difference in how they're made and how they look. So it gives them some different character. They're not all okay. You know exactly how this is going to turn. Like my junior headmasters are all built the exact same way because only one company's making them, and they look
Yeah.
good. But at the same time, if one was just a little bit more different, it would make that one stand out. Now this one stands out too. So now they both have more personality to them. But I don't mind buying from different ones as long as they give you a good price on them and a good look for them. I think that kind of leads us into one of the other things we want to talk about was there's this competition out there between the third parties and Takar, and as you mentioned, you collect different ones, but and I do too, but I don't know how Takar is keeping pace with third party ones at this point.
No.
And they've done some great pieces, and some of them are great. I can't deny them, like the Hound and the MP44 are awesome
Yeah.
pieces, but they don't stand up against some of the third party ones, especially when like that MP44 doesn't look. But the transform element, I can go buy the transform element one, looks just as good and has a cleaner backpack, and it cost me a quarter of the price.
And well, you have your purists that they're only going to buy the car. They're like,
Yeah,
oh, they stick to it, and that's what they're going to do. That's the only thing that's going to sully their collection. But then some of us that we want a more rounded out collection, and we just want to have all of them, or certain ones at least. So you go for what you feel is the best version. Because like with my Insecticons, they're Planet X. Are they 100% G1 accurate looking? No, they do have a little more of an updated,
right.
facial or something here or there. They're far more detailed, I suppose, because, let's be honest, the Insecticons wasn't exactly very well detailed. But they look amazing and they fit scale wise. What sucks is when you buy a third party, assuming it should be in scale and it's not. Like I bought a Galvatron and he was the I forget what it was. It was called Black Messiah. Yeah, what was his code name? I forget what company put him out now. Oh no, I'm sorry. It was the DX Toys
Oh,
version.
DX9, yeah,
Yeah, he was the Tyrant Black Messiah. That's what he was called.
yeah,
Now I remember. So I see him and he looks amazing. And it's a great combination of a updated modern versus with a G1 look or scheme. I put it that way. I loved it. And I dropped I want to say $130 on this figure. So I was like thinking, well, I'm getting a good bargain on this. I'm happy. He shows up after months of pre-order and he's about a 6-inch figure. That's, wow, with a lot of things, I say, okay, that sounds like a good. No, not when it comes to Transformers.
yeah,
You stand him next to Hot Rod or to Prime or Magnus, and he's knee high to a doorknob, and it's like, got a problem here.
yeah.
And I was like so disappointed. So I had to buy another one later, which wound up being the X Trans version, and he's amazing.
Yeah, and I find too that when you start getting into them, and there's so many companies out there, it's hard to tell who's doing what. But do you have? We talked about this. We have multiple versions, and like I said, I like to give them a little personality and break them up. So like all of my mini bots are not X Trans bots. Some of them are Ocular Max, some of them are DX9, some of them are Toy World. But do you have any one third party company that you prefer to go to, or that you have a preference for over
I
any other?
No, because I go all over. I got a Toy World Jazz that looks great, but then like I said, I probably have more X Trans than anything as far as third party because I got a Cup, I got Rodimus, I got Megatron, I got Galvatron, all third party. But more and more, it's I forget the name of the company. It starts with a D. Defo. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. There was a Starscream to come out.
Deformation space.
There you go. Their Starscream looks great.
Yeah, it does.
And I would put it right up there as probably the best looking one, especially bang for your buck. I have the Masterpiece Takara version, and it was a fluke. I bought it because it came on a good sale, and I thought I was getting that version instead of this, and then it come, and I was like, oh shit, it's the actual one. But and I do have a Thundercracker coming soon, but
yeah, you're gonna get yourself in trouble.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm the same way. Like I started out thinking, oh, man, you got to get all Fans Toys or X Transbots or whatever. But the more I got into them, man, and don't get me wrong, those are the two I probably have the most of out of anything is the X Transbots and Fans Toys. But I started looking at like Dinobots and this company called Gigapower. Now they're as expensive as Fans Toys, but their Dinobots look just as good. And actually, I have 3 Dinobots from them, excluding Grimlock, because I've got him as official Takara because I got him a long time ago. But 3 of the Dinobots I have is the Gigapower, and one of them I could not get in Gigapower. It just wasn't available anywhere, so I bought the Fans Toys version, and I put them on the shelf together. The only way you can tell any difference in them is the Gigapower ones I bought are the chrome version, so their spikes and their scales and stuff are chromed out. If it wasn't for that, you wouldn't tell a difference between these and how they're made and how they look against each other. Yeah. And they were.
I know you're a lot more better versed than I am about the third parties. Who was the third party company that put out the Devastator? They was coded out as Hercules. It's from several years ago. But I forget that. I'm not sure the company that put that out. It is an amazing, wonderful looking. You know, the detail and accuracy is so great. But I just remember being coded out as Hercules. And I wanted them so bad.
TFC Toys, and I don't even know if they're still around, to be honest with you, because these companies come and go.
They did a great job. Everything I've seen them put out looked really great for quite a while there.
Dude, I'll tell you, I've gotten into a bad spot this week because they started coming out with Defensor, who's one of my favorite combiners. And honestly, for combiners, I would prefer to have Zeta Toys because they do an amazing job of building their combiners. Now, they're not all in one. They have some parts forming, like the Superion I have, the chest piece is a separate piece from any of the bots, and then you start snapping them into it or together on it. But he's amazing looking. You've seen him a few times. I mean, he's just one of the best I've ever seen. Now, their train bots is being done under the name Moon Studios, but it's also Zeta Toys because they either had to sell their designs or change their name or something because they get into trouble all the time overseas for a lot of stuff. So it's coming out as Moon Studios, but it's built the same way, and they're amazing the way that they're transforming and looking like they're going to combine. But I started buying Defensor as an X Transbot because he came out first. Now, the Ocular Max is also releasing them as an all-in-one where there is no parts forming. Every piece is part of it. If you've seen the first aid for X Transbots, the medical bed he has is actually going to be most of the arm piece, and then he snaps around it in different ways, and it's a parts forming piece, right?
Okay, well, let me ask you this, Monster. Okay. Some of the companies to begin with for the combiners, they were selling them all as one unit. And, you know, sometimes that'd be $600. Had you rather go that route there and get them all at one time, or are you more of you have the patience to wait out the 2 years or whatever it takes to buy them, you know, individually, and then finally get the combined piece?
So I'm glad you brought that up because that's where I was going with this. So I've been buying these X Transbots when they look great. And then I saw the Ocular Max, their first aid, and the way he transforms and he's much more intuitive, I was like, dang, I want that one now too, but I don't want 2 Defensors. But I'm wanting to buy 2 now to have one as the regular boss and then one as Defensor because they look so good. I can't afford it, so I got to make decisions. But one of the things I've noticed is that the companies who are good at those and can produce them, you'll get them sprinkled throughout. So I've already gotten 2 X Transbots parts of Defensor. The next one's not until 4th quarter of this year, and it was pushed back from October to December because of shipping issues, honestly.
Yeah.
So it's not because of anything else, but then when you look at, they provide great stability in these boxes. X Transbots, DX9, Zeta Toys, Moon Studios. It looks like they have great stability. Takara and Fans Toys are just now starting to delve into doing combiners at that masterpiece scale. And they're the ones that scare me because of that timeline. That I'm willing to wait that timeline normally and buy them as they come out. I'd rather have them all at once, but if I gotta wait, that's fine. I can do that. I've got a little bit of patience, not a lot, but a little bit.
See,
But
that's the problem I run into. Because anyone that knows Hassel knows he has very little patience.
what I
It's almost hard for me to wait 2 years to get this thing and combine it. But at the same time, it's damn sure just as hard to justify a mortgage payment
yeah,
to get the combiner all at once.
it's that too. But when I started looking at the timelines for getting some of those, and you look at what makes me nervous and makes me not want to be patient, it's like with Fans Toys and Takara what they're doing. So they're producing these things at like 1.5 to 2 times the price of everybody else. Like the train bots are 109, and actually they're 114 now if you didn't buy the first release. But Takara is over 200 for each piece of the train. So am I? So that's 6 bots. So am I paying 1,200 or am I paying 600? But the weight part you're talking about, when you take somebody like Fans Toys, they did 3 of the aerial bots, and then they just stopped making them for like 2 years. They haven't had one come out since 2019. It's 2022, and they just announced the other 2.
And that is the scariest part of a third party, right?
Exactly.
'Cause they're not a major company. They
Yeah.
close doors tomorrow, and you never get the rest of him.
Well, that and what makes me impatient about that too is did they not make those others because they realized their combination is not going to be stable? Especially when you get somebody like Fans Toys who puts so much and X
But you
Transbox
would
too, that puts
almost
so
think
much
they would have
metal
the
in them.
tooling issues worked out before they started releasing any of the parts. It's one thing to not be able to, do but one piece at a time so often. That's fine. But you would think they'd start with at least a stable prototype of the entire thing.
But they don't. That's the thing. These smaller companies like a Fans Toys, they don't I don't know if they can't afford to or if they just don't. They will give you renders and tell you what they're going to make, and then they start producing one at a time. And if it's taking them 2 years to make the next 2 pieces of this combiner is probably not going to be mobile. And if he is standing up there, he might just have to stand like he's waiting on the school bus in that A-frame position because he's going to fall over if I do anything else.
My Devastator is standing like this right now. He's the Hasbro version, so he does not have the, posability that you would think. I mean, your combiners, the third party, and they look amazing. You have them posed up, and they're all like in disco poses and all this shit. But like my Devastator, he don't have that. He's Hasbro.
Yeah.
So bad boy's just standing here like this, with his arms cranked up.
And that's
just a
how
little
my
bit.
that's how my Titans are that I got from Hasbro. But like my Superion is a combiner. Yes, it has parts forming, and I know people complain about that, but he's so stable that I've actually got him standing with his gun pulled up and one knee bent, and he's reaching towards the ground like he's trying to pick somebody up. And it's like,
Hey, you do a great
I don't
job with
care.
yours. Like, for the most part, some of mine I can pose up certain ways, but I don't have the posability skilling you have. But
if I can make him that dynamic, that's awesome. And that's what the Zeta, the Moon Studios, and I've seen some of the Ocular Max that can do that, and some of them that can't. So I'm not sure how their Defensor is going to come out, but if they did all theirs that sell at one time, yeah, I'd probably try and go in for all the product at once. But I can wait on those because they look so great. But I don't think I could do it for Takara or Fans Toys because I'm scared they're not going to hold up, or Takara will finish making them. They're a big enough company. But I'm scared that theirs is not going to hold up. Plus, it looks like crap because it's got kibble falling all off of it everywhere.
Well, the thing about Takara, they look great in pictures, but when you get them and you start, messing with them, they never transform as well as they look in the picture.
Yeah.
My Starscream, I was so pissed because his wings, they're supposed to snap in a certain position. And like as long as I pose him in that position and set him right there, they'll look like they are, but they're not snapped together at all in the back. They're just kind of dangling. So, I mean, like, yes, from a look position, it looks great. But if you were to pick him up, you would instantly tell. To where some of these third parties, you don't have that. My thing with the combiners is I wish that they would at least commit to, okay, we're going to have this out in, say, a 15-month time frame. Within 15 months, you'll have all of these figures to make your. Okay, I can commit to a long haul over that time frame, year and a half, maybe. When you start entering in the 2-year mark, it's hard.
Well,
at $100 a bot, it's just hard.
Yeah, and I think too, especially because they're going to go up in price every year too, right? So what you pay for 101 is going to be 115 next year on that same size one. But that 2-year time frame just tells me that hey, something's not right with it, and I'm scared it's going to fall apart.
Which
Now
on
the
a
extra,
positive note, I did have a meeting with a lady that does imports and exports today. And she did tell me that the ports are freeing up, that she has seen a lot of,
yeah,
movement out in California, Savannah, New York, where the ports are freeing up and they're getting things that's been just sitting there for months, that they just couldn't get into the port to unload.
yeah, and not only waiting on the figures to show, like X Transbots, I'm just waiting on the figures to show up, but at least they're giving us updates too. Like with their Defensor, I've got 2 pieces in hand. The third one I know doesn't come out until December at this point. It was pushed back, but I've seen all the product images, and I've already seen the product images and the prototype building for the 4th one. So that just leaves the 5th one to be done that they haven't done yet. But Fans Toys went 2 years without even showing you the product images of the renders of the 2 that were missing from their Superion. That makes me nervous. I was like,
Just hey, we're going to sell these.
yeah,
Give me
yeah.
monies.
And I'll say this too: if I had enough money to do it, I would want to buy versions of, here's the combiner combined, and I would go with a different company for the individual pieces if I was going to display them individually. Like I think the Fans Toys individually for their Superion, their aerial bots look great, and I would display them that way. But for the combiner, they can't touch the Zeta toys.
No, I've seen the quality. It does look really, really amazing. I say I'm not real big on the trains, but they do look really, really great.
Yeah, and if I was going to do a defense, that's why I started looking at that first aid from the protective box. I was like, oh, I really like that one, but which one would I? And I think I would make the X Transbots my combined mode, but maybe these would be the individuals. I was like, that's a scary rabbit hole to start going down at this point.